Hi, this is Janey Imaani and welcome to Emotional Awareness. And on this episode, I will be sharing tip number 3 on how not to care what people think, which is knowing what your personal philosophy is. So, what is a personal philosophy? It is your big why, knowing why you do what you do. And the reason why it's important to get clear on what your philosophy is, because when you do something for the wrong reason, say like validation from other people or anything out of your ego, when you fall, it becomes much harder for you to be resilient and get back up. But when you do something from your purpose, it's easier for you to continue. And you really want to define for yourself what your personal philosophy is, because if you're not the one who designs it, then you probably picked one up by default. And the default one for women, it's usually, let me try to live as perfectly as I can so that I can avoid criticism, judgment and blame. So let's look at some examples of what personal philosophies can be. So if we took Buddha, his personal philosophy, paraphrasing of course, all people suffer, and so let's work through life with compassion for one another. Or if you take, say, Malcolm X, his one was probably around justice and equality. Martin Luther King's one was probably justice and equality too. So I would say they had the same personal philosophy, but definitely a different approach. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how do I know what my personal philosophy is? So Michael Gervais, who is a high-performance sports psychologist, he says there are some ways that you can channel it. So one of them would be to be around wise people. And if you can't physically be around them, then to read their books or blogs or something like that. The second tip would be to journal, writing, or any other type of mindfulness practice, like meditation or prayer, or reading holy texts, or something where you feel like you can shut all the noise of the outside world and get in touch with what is inside of you. Another good way that I've seen that works is looking at who you admire and what you admire most about them. So you can even put it in columns, right? Have 2 different columns. So you put the name on one side and you would put the quality on the other side. So say if you took Helen Keller, maybe what you admire most about her is the fact that she believed that she deserved to learn regardless of what everybody else thought. Or say if you take Kobe Bryant, maybe you admire him because of his resilience or his discipline. And so looking at who you look up to can really help you get a better idea of the values that you want to live by. The other thing I'll do is I'll link a page with a list of values. And what you could do is pick 5 values that speak to you most. And that will give you a better idea too. Okay. So once you have figured out what your personal philosophy is, the next thing you want to do is practice it, especially under awkward situations. So when you practice your personal philosophy under difficult situations, what your mind is doing is collecting that information and being like, oh, this is something that I can handle, so you get better at it over time. And Dr. Gervais says that you should also be able to tell people what your personal philosophy is, because if you're too shy to say it, then you're probably going to be too shy to live it. So I guess I should practice what I preach and tell you guys what my personal philosophy is. So mine is the courage to be my most evolved self. So for when I meet God, I can say that I tried. You should also be able to profess your personal philosophy at knife point. And so the knife is symbolic to being under pressure. So when things get tough, do you put your personal philosophy down, or are you going to stick by it? A lot of the times other people's opinions, ideas, criticism, they can really disorientate us and shake us. And so that's why it's so important for us to know what our purpose is or what our personal philosophy is, because it grounds us back again, right? So we can move our life in a direction that we want it to go. So now I have to ask you guys the question, what is your personal philosophy? What are the values that you are living by? And what are the values that you would like to live by? So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and in next week's video I'll be giving the last tip, and I'll also be recapping the 4 tips so that you can see how it all comes together. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe and share, and take care. Bye!